So welcome back to Keith's Hot Takes, and on today's show, I'm going to preview the second round matchups in the NBA, and I'm also going to do sizzling headlines, and I'm going to talk about Coach K's retirement, and I'm going to talk about Muhammad Ali, and I'm also going to talk about the fans acting out. So let's start off with sizzling headlines. Let's get it. All right, so as we know, Coach K announced his retirement Wednesday after 40 plus years at Duke. It was a sad day. The ACC won't be the same without Coach K or Roy Williams, who retired back in April on April Fool's Day. It's going to be weird not having both of them in the ACC, especially with the Duke North Carolina rivalry. That's going to be weird. But let's talk about some of Coach K's accomplishments since he's been the coach at Duke. So he's won 5 national championships. He's won 3 gold medals, 12 Final Four appearances, 12 ACC regular season titles, and 15 ACC tournament championships. And he also has the most wins ever, 1,170. So Coach K is a legend, and we're definitely going to miss him. And college basketball won't be the same without him, like I stated earlier. And it's just really going to take some getting used to. But his assistant coach, John Shire, I think he's going to do a great job. And I think it's going to be hard for him because trying to replace Coach K, that's going to be one of the toughest jobs ever. But here are some of the guys that he's brought to Duke: John Shire, Luke Kennard, Jason Tatum, Zion Williamson, Cam Reddish, Joey Baker, Vernon Carey, Matthew Hurt, and Mark Williams, just to name a few. So John Shire is a great recruiter. He's brought some great players to Duke, and I think he's going to do a great job. And hopefully we don't expect too much out of him to start out at Duke, but I know he's going to do a great job there. Next, I want to talk about Muhammad Ali, who passed away 5 years ago today. And Muhammad Ali, of course, I wasn't alive when he was boxing and stuff like that, but my grandpa did a great job showing me documentaries and fights from Muhammad Ali. And I just loved the way he trash talked, and he would always back it up, and he would always put on a show whenever he was fighting. So here's some accomplishments from Muhammad Ali's career. He went 55-6, 37 by knockout. He was an Olympic gold medalist. He was the first 3-time heavyweight champion, and as we all know, he was a worldwide activist. And I want to read part of a quote that he had about him not going to Vietnam and serving. And as we know, that took 3 years out of the promised career. And that was just really unfortunate. So let me pull up the quote and I'll read it to you. All right. So he said, "The real enemy of my people is here. I will not disgrace my religion, my people, or myself by becoming a tool to enslave those who are fighting for their own justice, freedom, and equality. If I thought the war was going to bring freedom and equality to 22 million of my people, they wouldn't have to draft me. I'd join tomorrow. I have nothing to lose by standing up for my beliefs. So I'll go to jail. So what? We've been in jail for 400 years." What a powerful quote from Muhammad Ali about why he didn't want to go serve in Vietnam. And he was basically saying the people in Vietnam didn't do anything to him, and he had no purpose in going over there to serve the army. So, really powerful quote by him. And I feel like he boxed longer than he should have because, as we know, he lost his last 3 fights. And yeah, I just felt like he was boxing longer than he should have. It's really unfortunate, but there's nothing we can do about it. But what a great man, and we miss him. So yeah. Finally, on sizzling headlines, I want to address these fans that have been acting out at these NBA games. So I'll go in order. First, we had the Russ popcorn incident. That was just real ignorant by that fan. I don't know what possessed him to throw popcorn on a professional player. And I was afraid Russ was going to get a hold of, break loose of the security guards holding him back. And I thought he was going to go up in the stands and get that fan. But it was just real ignorant, and I don't understand why a fan would think that would be okay to sit there and throw popcorn on Russ. We just have no place for that in basketball. The Probably one of the most disturbing one of these incidents that really shook me up was the fan in the second row spitting at Trey Young, and 50 Cent is in the front row, and his girlfriend is right there, and it looks like she kind of looks, and she's like, "Did I just feel something?" Because you got people right there in the front row in front of you and you're doing something disgusting and vulgar like that, spitting at a player, there's no place for that in basketball. Uh, and then we have the Ja Morant family incident in Utah. As we know, Utah has a history of having crazy incidents happening in their building. So basically, Ja Morant's family got some vulgar things said to them at a Utah Jazz game, and it was just really sad to hear and really disturbing some of the details that I was hearing about what happened at the game and what they were saying to the family. I won't repeat none of those things, but just know that they were saying very vulgar and disturbing things. And the bad part about it was Ja's dad was saying most of the fans were cool. It was just these three people that, just didn't know how to act. So, uh, really sad to see. And then we moved to the fan throwing a bottle at Kyrie Irving in Boston, and it came really close to hitting Kyrie in the eye. That was just really scary to see because if that bottle had hit Kyrie in the eye, who knows what it could have done. And yeah, Kyrie shouldn't have probably stepped on the logo, but you don't go throwing no bottles at him and doing stuff that could severely injure him. Like, no, there's no place for that. And then lastly, a couple of days ago, we had the fan running on the court during the Wizards and Sixers game, and we just don't have any room in basketball for these fans to be acting out. I know you're happy that you're just finally getting out the house, the world's opening back up, but just sit back, relax, enjoy the games, and don't be ignorant because I'm afraid the NBA is gonna stop letting these teams have fans at these games if these incidents keep happening. And I've been really enjoying these fans at these games. They've been making the atmospheres really good, and they've been making these games really good. So hopefully these fans get in line and hopefully stop acting out, so we can continue to have fans at ball games, and hopefully we can continue to get all buildings at full capacity, hopefully one day soon. So, yeah, so that does it for sizzling headlines. Now we're going to jump into previewing some of the second round semifinal matchups. So let's do that now. Alrighty, so the first matchup I'm going to preview is the Sixers and Hawks. So this series, I'm really thinking it's going to determine by how much Joel Embiid can play and how much he's going to be available. Because if he can play, I think the Sixers will win in 6 or 7 games. And if Joel Embiid can't play, then I think the Hawks could win this in 6 games. But as we saw the other day, the Sixers role players stepped up big. Steph Curry had 30. And I think this series is going to be determined by which team's role players help out the star players. So which team's role players for the Sixers will be Tobias Harris, Steph Curry, Ben Simmons. What can they get from those guys to help Joel Embiid? And for the Hawks, can Trey Young continue to get help from Bogdanovich, John Collins, Hunter, and those guys, Gallinari? So which team's role players can step up big and help their star player out, I think will win this series. And like I said, I think the Hawks will win if Joel Embiid is not able to play much in this series. But if Joel Embiid is ready to go Sunday at 1 o'clock, then I think the Sixers will win in 6. But if he doesn't play much this series, I could see the Hawks winning this in 6 games. I'm just a huge fan of Ice Trey. Uh, the performance he put on against the Knicks in their series, that was just impressive to watch. So I think this is going to be a really fun series. I'm intrigued to see who guards Trey Young. Are they going to go big by putting Danny Green or Ben Simmons on him, or are they going to go with Seth Curry? We shall see who they put on him. But I have a feeling if he starts going off and getting, hot, I feel like they may try to put Ben Simmons on him. But I don't know if that's a good matchup for Ben Simmons because Trey Young will have the speed advantage. So we shall see. This one is probably the series I'm looking forward to the most. um, which is the Nets and the Bucks, because I watched their last two matchups in the regular season, and obviously there was no James Harden, but these were two really exciting games, and I don't think I saw the first matchup, but obviously the Bucks won two out of the three games in the regular season, and I think James Harden is going to make the difference in this series. And as we saw, the Bucks, what they did after losing to the Heat last year, they got better, and the Heat didn't get better. So that was ultimately the difference in their series. Adding Drew Holiday, adding Bobby Portis, adding PJ Tucker, adding guys like that made the difference in that series. And Giannis, they have some dogs now, like I said. And I just think that this is going to be a really intriguing series because you have the Bucks' big three, Middleton, Giannis, and Drew Holiday, versus the Nets' big three in Kyrie, James Harden, and Kevin Durant. So I think this is going to be fun to watch. Can the Bucks continue to count on their role players to hit big shots and step up big for them? We shall see. Can Bobby Portis continue to be big for them? Can PJ Tucker, can he? I don't think he can slow down James Harden, but can he frustrate him? Be physical with him? We shall see. They used to be teammates, so we shall see. And I just can't wait to watch Drew Holiday and Kyrie go at it. Middleton, like I guess Middleton will start on James Harden, and then when PJ comes off the bench, I guess he'll probably take James Harden. But this is just gonna be a really intriguing series, and for the Nets, like, can Joe Harris continue to help them out? Can Blake Griffin continue to help out the big three? Because as we know, the Nets' big three, all of them can go for 50 on any given night, and they're just explosive. I have the Nets winning this series in seven. I think it's going to be a really fun, exciting series. And as we've seen in the playoffs, these series are being determined by which team's role players step up in big time key situations, and I think that will determine who wins this series. Which team can get the big time stops, make the big time plays. When a series is just so evenly matched, that's how a series is usually determined. So we shall see. But I have the Nets in seven, and I think James Harden, knocking on wood, hopefully he's healthy this series and he doesn't get injured or anything like that. I think he's going to be the difference in this series. So, yeah, talk about is the Suns and the Nuggets. And the Suns, as we know, they won their first playoff series since 2010, and this team has just been really impressive this year. And I think the Nuggets and Suns, I think this is going to be a great series. For the Suns, I think they have to push the pace. And when Joker, whenever they make a basket, don't hesitate to push the ball up the floor and try to play 5-on-4. Because, Joker, he doesn't run fast at all. So I definitely would try to push the pace to get him tired. And also, DeAndre Ayton needs to continue doing what he did in the Lakers series when he was averaging 20 points, double digit rebounds. And they're going to need him to make the Joker work on the defensive end, because you can't just let him go off for 38, 11 rebounds, 10 assists. You got to make him work. And I think that's going to benefit the Suns if they can get him in foul trouble, get him frustrated, because the Nuggets aren't the same without him. So I definitely think that'd be a key, having Chris Paul's leadership. When stuff gets rocky, the Nuggets go on a big run, he can tell them just to calm down, breathe, take it easy. I think having Chris Paul is underrated for this young Suns team who doesn't have a lot of playoff experience. Having him, guys like Jay Crowder, who's been there before, done it. And I think the ultimate X factor in this series is going to be Devin Buckets Booker, because he's just a cold bucket, man. That performance he put on against the Lakers to send them home 47 points, man, he's just a problem. Good luck. I think he's going to be the reason why the Suns win this series. Uh, I just think without Jamal Murray, I don't think the Nuggets can beat the Suns. And it's just that simple. I mean, if they had Jamal Murray, I think this could be a really interesting series. But without him, and I think the Joker's going to have a harder time against Aiden than he did against Nurkic and the really smaller Blazers. So that's why I think the Nuggets will have as they'll have a harder time with the Suns than they did against the Blazers. I'll put it like that. So Western Conference semifinal now. It'll be the number one seed, the Utah Jazz, taking on the number four seed, the LA Clippers. As you know, the Clippers beat the Mavericks in seven, and Luka Doncic, what a show he put on, but he just didn't have enough help on a consistent basis. And I think the Clippers, they just are so deep, and I think they're going to be hard to deal with in the West. As we know, uh, the Utah Jazz have Donovan Mitchell, Mike Conley, uh, Bogdanovich. They just have so many weapons. Jordan Clarkson off the bench. So this is going to be really intriguing, competitive series. I could see this series going 6 or 7. Um, but I'm gonna take the Clippers just for the simple fact. Not only do they have Kawhi and Paul George, they have Nicholas Batum, they have Reggie Jackson, they have Marquise Morris, they have Luke Kennard. They just have so much Rondo, like Terrence Mann, like their depth is just ridiculous, and they can legit go 10 deep if they wanted to. But in the playoffs, your rotation tightens up. You don't play as many players as you do in the regular season, and I think that's gonna wear the Jazz down. And the Jazz, they just rely too much on the three for me because if that's not going, I don't really think they can beat you because they depend on that so much for their offense, and that's not a good recipe to have because if you live by the three, you're gonna die by the three. So I think that's gonna hurt the Jazz, but I think Donovan Mitchell is gonna be special. I'll be intrigued to see if Kawhi takes it personal and tries to guard him for a whole series because I don't know if he can do that, but maybe in spurts, maybe late fourth quarter, try to guard Donovan Mitchell, try to slow him down because he's the majority of the Jazz's offense and, late game situations, he's going to be taking the shots. So we shall see if Kawhi takes him. And yeah, I think this is going to be a great series. It'll start Tuesday. It'll be after the Hawks and 76ers. The Hawks, they survived today. They scared me to death. They act like they'd never seen a full court press before, and they were just throwing the ball everywhere, turning it over. They'll try to go up 2-0 on Philly before going back to Atlanta. So that'd be a great game before Clippers and Jazz. So can't wait for that doubleheader Tuesday. So yeah. What went wrong with the Blazers and Lakers? So we'll start out with the Blazers. I feel so bad for Dame Lillard. He left everything he had out there on the floor, and like I was stating earlier, these series are being determined by which team's role players step up and help out their star players. And poor Dame Lillard couldn't get no help. Like in the double overtime game the other night, he had 17 of their 19 points. The other players who were playing the game went a combined 1 for 14, and they only had 2 points. That is unacceptable. Dame played his heart out, 55 piece, extra crispy, 12 threes. He did everything he needed for his team, and I just feel so bad for him that he didn't have any help helping him out. Uh, so I think the Blazers need to get rid of Terry Stotts. He's not the answer. Some of his rotation decisions just kept puzzling me. As we remember, the Blazers could have had a chance to win Game 3, but for some stupid reason, Terry Stotts decided that when Nurkic got in foul trouble, that he was going to have Robert Covington guard the Joker, who is 7 feet tall, probably close to 300 pounds. Covington looks like he may be 6'9", 215, maybe. Like, why not put a big in the game, Cantor, or somebody like that, instead of trying to play small against the Joker? Because it was so stupid to watch him kept playing small when the Nuggets aren't playing small. They're staying true to what they do. They're playing the Joker inside. They're not playing small. So why are you going small? It just didn't make much sense to me. So I see some of their notable free agents are Carmelo Anthony. I would bring him back if he wants to play again. I would definitely bring Canner back. I don't know if I would bring Norman Powell back because I still don't understand why they traded Gary Trent Jr. for Norman Powell because it didn't work out. They just didn't seem like they were gelling much as a team once they made that trade. So I didn't understand that. And they just need to get better on defense because their defense was atrocious. It was horrible. And yeah, so yeah, I don't know if they're gonna break up this Dame and CJ McCollum duo, but I guess it's time because they've lost in the first round four of the last 5 seasons. So I don't know if this is going to work, and I don't know how much better this duo can get. So we shall see, but I definitely think they need to get rid of Terry Stotts because he made some horrible decisions this series, and I think that ultimately cost his team. So yeah, and for the Lakers, a lot went wrong for them this year. AD and Bron missing the majority of the season. That hurt. Having to turn around on 70 days rest and to play NBA season was just ridiculous. They shouldn't have had to did that. They shouldn't have had to do that. So that was really ridiculous. I feel really bad for LeBron. This was his first round loss in the playoffs, and I just never expected him to lose in the first round, but this was arguably his toughest first round matchup that he's ever faced in the first round. So the Lakers became the fifth team to be the defending champs and get eliminated on their home court in the first round. So here are some of the other teams. The 1981 Lakers, they lost to the Rockets in 3 games. Back then, they only played 3 games in the first round. The 1984 76ers, they lost to the New Jersey Nets. The 2007 Heat, they lost to the Bulls. And the 2012 Mavericks lost to the Thunder. So this becomes only the fifth time in NBA history that this has happened. And really unfortunate for the Lakers. But let's talk about some of their notable free agents. Alex Caruso, I would bring him back. Montrezl Harrell, I don't know if I would bring him back. Morris, Dennis Schroeder, and Andre Drummond. So I think the Lakers need to get younger, and I think they need to build up their bench because that definitely hurt them this year. I don't think they had the right pieces on their bench, and I think they need to get rid of Kyle Kuzma. He's not the answer. And yeah, I just think they need to blow this up and bring some better pieces around LeBron and AD because they don't have the right pieces around them. I think they need to get more athletic on the wings, and I think they need to, like I said, they need to improve their bench because they lost a lot off their bench last year. And I just think they need to get better around LeBron and AD. And I think not bringing back JaVale McGee was a mistake. And bringing in Marc Gasol, I don't really think that was a good idea because Gasol isn't the Marc Gasol from Memphis. You're getting the old Marc Gasol. So I'd be interested to see what the Lakers do. LeBron, this is his lowest point total in the playoffs since his rookie year. He averaged 25 points this season. And yeah, check this out. LeBron missed 27 games this year. Anthony Davis missed 36. And this is the first time since 2013 that the Lakers were eliminated in the first round. So, yikes. Prediction to close out the show. I have the Clippers coming out of the West, playing the Brooklyn Nets. And I have the Brooklyn Nets beating the Clippers in 7 games. I think this is going to be a fun series. Hopefully Harden can come back, but uh, man, Kawhi versus KD. Ooh, man, that's going to be a show, man. 2 mid-range killers, man. They can put on a show. But I just think the Nets, they have 3 guys that can go get you 50, and I have no idea how the Clippers slow down the trio of Harden, Kyrie, and KD. And I just think that's going to be the difference in the series. And, having Blake Griffin step up like he did last night when James Harden got hurt, 18 and 14, that was huge. So I just think the Nets are too complete of a team. But the Clippers, like I stated earlier, they're really deep. They have a lot of players that can come up big for them. Like I said, Terrence Mann, Luke Kennard, Reggie Jackson, uh, Markeith Morris, uh, Kawhi, Paul George. You know, because if you look at it, Luka was killing the Clippers, but that wore him down in a 7 game series. You can't beat a team like the Clippers if you don't have help on a consistent basis. And yeah, Kawhi and Paul George weren't always, clicking and going well, but they had help, and Luka needed some help. So I think the Nets having KD, Kyrie, and Harden, I think that's going to be a little too much for the Clippers. And we all know if you can get the Clippers to in a close ball game, last 5 minutes, they don't seem to function well at all. It's like a heavyweight, and all they're known for is their power. You want to get them out of the first round. You want to kind of take them into that deep water and hope to drown them. So uh, I'd be interested to see if the Nets can, get the Clippers in some late games where it's tight. They got to execute because the Clippers, they really do struggle with that. So we shall see. But I have the Nets beating the Clippers in 7 games. All right, so one of my fans wanted me to address the Kwame Brown situation. So I give my fans what they want, and on next week's show, I'm gonna address the Kwame Brown situation, and I'll get all in depth on the Kwame Brown situation. So join me next week for that, and yeah, I'll see you guys next week. Peace.